With wobblers at the old fortress, fishing for pike can become especially difficult when the wobbler has a much deeper diving depth than it is actually deep here at the old fortress. Yes, the player Horace had posted his contribution on Discord about pike fishing, and he showed that you can indeed complete the pike trophy here at the old fortress. But still, fishing for pike with the wobbler at the old fortress again and again brings special challenges, especially when you use wobblers with a big diving depth. At the old fortress, it is relatively shallow. In most areas, the water depth there is about 1.20 meters. Of course, for a wobbler with a diving depth of 3.52 meters, that becomes really hard to fish. So what possibilities do we have then to still use a wobbler with 3.50 meters diving depth here? If we pull the wobbler with 3.50 meters diving depth completely through once, that means we turn the reel handle one full turn, then the wobbler shoots these 3.50 meters straight down and of course ends up in the ground. And we definitely want to avoid that. That means we take our wobbler with a diving depth of 3.52 meters, and we do not reel a full turn, but maybe just a quarter turn of the spool. And through that, the wobbler just dips very lightly into the water, and the moment we stop turning, it comes back up again. And then we are already in the jig, and that's exactly what we now do here in the game. So we have this wobbler with a diving depth of 3.50 meters. At this spot, we have an area that is about 1.25 meters deep. We cast out loosely, of course, and if we now made a full turn, we would land at the bottom. We don't want that. What we want is the jigging movement, so just let it dip underwater shortly. Dip underwater shortly, that's important. This is how we get into the jigging movement, which means now we do a light turn. You can see it right away also at the line. Zack, and it goes back up, down, and it goes back up, down, and it goes back up. And now we are in the jig, or rather in the twitch retrieve, and we can twitch through here quite relaxed. You can even see how the lure comes up to the surface, lies there for a moment, then goes down again, and then comes back up again. And that's exactly what we want to do. And that's exactly what triggers the pike. So that is always essential. Short down and back up. That's the movement we want. So we pull through like this here at the spot, cast out loosely, and then pull through calmly. Just a small turn, you can see it here also on the reel. Zack, and already comes the bite. So with just a half turn on the reel or even less, immediately the pike strike. Nice weight. Especially here at the old fortress, such weight classes are really worthwhile. Everything in the range from 3 kilograms plus. Zack, instant bite, very nice. That's really worth it here at the old fortress. And there comes the next one. And of course, especially for cafe orders, that's absolutely worthwhile. So always keep an eye if there are cafe orders for pike at the old fortress, then you can of course do that very well. What's important when we look at the wobbler or the lure, it must have the letter F in the name, at the number. So in this case here, the X-Blast Shad F95. That means F like floating. That is the decisive thing. Yes, and the 95 here stands for the size. And that is actually quite a large lure. Though one must say for pike fishing, you could theoretically go even much bigger. If you can already do jerkbait, then of course you can also go in larger. I personally haven't tried it yet in this case. So if you can already use jerkbait, I would just try it for now with greenish lures. That seems to work quite well at the moment. So just give it a try. Otherwise, also test with other greenish lures. Everything big, also gladly with size 4 hooks, really big hooks, and then just pull through relaxed here. And as I said, of course, pay attention. No matter how deep the diving depth of the lure is, depending on how much we reel slowly down, not with full speed, so to say, but always with just a little turn, slowly come into twitching. And then even in very, very shallow waters, with way too large lures, you can still twitch through slowly and fish for pike. And as always with pike fishing, important of course is the time of day. So we have such a bite window, a time period in the morning from about 5 a.m. onwards. then until about 11 a.m., and then in the afternoon it starts again from about 4 p.m. until the evening, 11 p.m. Those are the most important times for pike fishing. So in that time, you should definitely be at the spot and already do some testing. Zach, and there's another one. And then we will also look at a useful setup which you can roughly buy around level 20 to then continue to make cash nicely and consistently. So after the Belaya setup, which is excellent for fishing at the Belaya for brown trout, grayling, and chub, you go heavier at some point. And there, the Kamamector SF78MH is worthwhile. Excellent casting weight, sufficient load capacity, and just like with the Belaya setup, you can also use this setup here for a long time. That is always important because in the beginning we do not earn that much silver. So if we buy something, we must be able to use it for many areas for a long time. And here you just decide which reel you use. Either a 6,000 reel, maybe you could already afford something like an Eva, or you use the Caliber HSV. That gear you can of course use excellently for pike fishing. Here it is recommended to use a monoline with a load capacity of about 23 kilograms. Then you can fully use the brake force of the reel. I even have a much heavier line on here now. And when we go specifically for pike, of course we also put a thick steel leader on. Since with the whole setup, we are clearly above the rod's load capacity, we must be careful. So never close the brake completely. That can either break your rod or destroy your reel. If you're still unsure there, then just go safer and take a 19 kilogram line. Then you are under the rod's load capacity. And if you do fat finger it, meaning accidentally close the brake, then of course the line breaks, but your rod and reel are safe. Then add the wobbler, and you are ready again for pike fishing. And you can test different lures here at different times of day, weather conditions, times, because that is always the A and O in artificial lure fishing. We always have to find out under which weather, at which temperatures, with which preferences, the fish like which lure. So off to the old fortress, and best is to complete Pike Café orders. They are really worth it. And ideally also check other waters where Pike Café orders are available. You will find for every water where you can catch pike well, again and again, videos on the channel, where different lures are shown to you, where different spots are shown, and of course also how to best fish for pike. If this has helped you, leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, helps me a lot. And then we'll see each other in the next video. Until then, tight lines.